Right, hello and welcome. Here we are. The world is good, and I am here. I am here doing this live stream. Good. So there's just a one last thing that I need to get working because it's not working yet, and that is the live chat thing. So if you just give me uno momento to get that working, it's going to involve me logging in to YouTube again, which should only take 7 or 8 lunar months. And then they're going to send a thing to my phone confirming whether it's me or not. Right, can we get some comments just to see whether the audio is working? That would be good. I'm going to assume that it is, and that you guys can hear me okay. Once I've got the chat thing working, then we will get that up, and I'll start the thing fresh. Oh, you're kidding me! What have I done in my life to deserve this? All right, so I've got it up, but now it's not working because I'm just brilliant. See, the good thing about sitting down and getting this all sorted out before is that it gets all the kinks nicely ironed out, and you all get to enjoy the top quality presentation that I had prepared for you without having to see me fluff around. But you know, that's just the way the world works. Right, I think that I have the stream working the way that the world would intend it to work. So that's good. I've got the live chat thing. Goodness, why is everything I do slightly more difficult than it needs to be? It's just brilliant. Right, so tonight is today actually, the 19th of February is my birthday, and it's hard for me to believe that I am as old as I am. I have the body of a 90-year-old stuffed inside the carcass of a person much younger, and that's just that's just what it is. So it's good to see you here, and thank you for joining in tonight. I thought we'd do something just a little bit different. So instead of me just doing a standard live stream, I thought I would do is have a opportunity for you guys to interact with me a little bit more closely than what you necessarily would if you interact with the chat thing, which is up and there. So you just text that and things, and that's great to interact with me. But what I thought I'd do is, instead of that, have the opportunity for people to call me on Skype, and we'll stream that interaction. So you guys get to talk to me and video chat me if you want to. And we get to enjoy that little bit more of a closer interaction. So I don't know if anyone's actually going to be interested in doing that or not. It is just an idea that I had, as I've seen a few YouTubers do it. So if you want to do that, then what you can do is add me on Skype. And the ID is Trent Hamilton NZ. If you go to that on Skype, then you will be able to give me a call, give me a bit of a tingle, and we can chat. If no one wants to do that, of course, then that's perfectly fine. But it is that option. So I'll leave. So that's ready to go. So if anyone wants to give me a call on that, then they are more than welcome. If no one does, then you don't have to. But what I'll do in the meantime is I'll put my web. Oh, I've got a hit. Now, if you do this, then your name is going to appear. So if you don't want your name to appear, then don't. So yeah, just add me Trent Hamilton NZ, all one word. I think there's a live. If it shows up as live : Trent Hamilton NZ, and then you can interact with me if you want to. So there's another one. Molest. Oh yes, okay. Ha 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 ha. So if anyone wants to be clever and give me any sort of Simpsons prank calling like I'm Mo Sizzlack, then they're most welcome to. Yeah, that's an option if anyone wants to do that. And if anyone calls me, then I'll stream the call and things like that. But otherwise, I don't have too much that I had planned for this live stream. I just thought we would see what people are interested in me talking about, and go from there. Right, greetings from Washington. It's cold over. Yes, it's the midsummer here in New Zealand. We're supposed to have a weather bomb hit later in the week, but at the moment it's fine. It's windy because it's Wellington, and that's what happens in Wellington. But I've been riding my motorbike to work, and it's been brilliant. John, I presume that you are here watching the stream as well as chatting with me on Skype. So. Right, I've got some people that are going to be removed from the chat. Let me put. Oh, I can put users in timeout. There we go. There we go. All right, so let's see if there are any chats things here. Somebody says I don't look a day over 40. Well, I'm many days over 40. I feel like about an 80-year-old. Somebody says, what do you call a New Zealand sandwich? A Trent Hamilton, which is good. Hilarious. I don't know where you get that level of comedy from. It's 12 in Mississippi. It's 7 p.m. 10 past 7 p.m. Here in New Zealand, so it's sort of early evening, mid-evening, something like that. It's nice. I've been at work today, and so I've come home and enjoyed myself. Happy birthday. No, that was a weird response, wasn't it? Thank you would have been more appropriate. My brain doesn't operate when I'm doing. It doesn't operate effectively when I'm doing a couple of things at once. How do I feel about oldish blessing trombones from Mr. Sunup to Sundown says? Blessing trombones holds a special place in my heart because my first trombone that my band had that I learnt on was a Blessing Scholastic. It was just a standard small bore tenor trombone. I think it had a 7.5-inch bell. Nothing particularly special about it. It just had a weird counterweight, a sort of cylindrical counterweight thing that I've never seen in any other sort of style of trombones. And it was quite special because that was the first trombone that I ever really played. I think I was about 6 or 7 when I started learning trombone, so that's cool. So I don't really recollect too much about what they were from, but it is an instrument that I've used and am familiar with. I don't have any issues with it. Right. So I might flick back to one of the previous windows so I can see a little bit better about the live chat things. Soprano, somebody asked about the soprano trombone. I don't have that on me. That's in my storage unit. I have such a collection of instruments that I don't keep them all in the sort of area where I sort of sit and live. That's not here with me. Do I have my 7B, my King 7B? Yes, I do. That sits just over there. I've actually just acquired a new trombone. and that trombone is a Bach Stradivarius 50B3. It's an old trombone, but I've acquired that, and I'm going to be doing well, I've already recorded a review of that. I just haven't uploaded it to YouTube because I haven't edited it yet. It takes quite a while for it. It takes quite a while for me to find time to edit videos. I've also, from the same person that I bought the 50B3 from, they gave me a old Yamaha YBL 321. This is a single trigger string actuated. Oh gosh, it's not in the camera. String actuated bass trombone. So a 9.5-inch bell, large bore, single trigger bass trombone. I don't know when it dates from. It's really difficult to find out the dating for Yamaha trombones, but this is actually the first Yamaha trombone that I've owned. It's not the first that I've played, and it's in quite poor cosmetic condition. But one of the interesting things about it is that the previous owner had converted the trigger to be left hand. So instead of playing the trombone as we would normally play like this, he would play it with the thing twisted around 180 degrees, and he would hold it in his right hand and use his left hand for the slide. But the trouble with that is that the trigger, if you have it in that way, pokes out the bottom. So he had some modifications done so that the trigger actuated up the top here, and you could handle it just as a mirror image of how a right-handed trombonist would play. I don't know how that way worked, but it is what he did. And it seemed to work for him. Fortunately, that owner has died, so I can't talk to him directly about that, and his family who were getting rid of his trombones didn't really know anything about music at all, so they just gave me that trombone. It was in pieces, so I've sort of revamped it a little bit. Yeah, I'm going to do a review on that one day when I got the slide working a little bit better. Somebody's asked, can you see behind the camera? I've actually got this webcam taped to a sort of microphone boom thing coming from the side of a thing that you can't see. So I can't actually show you around because that's taped in place. And yeah, but I am in my garage. If I were to tell you what is here, I've got a whole bunch of lighting. You can see, where can I put my finger? There. You can see some 4 strips. I've got some 4 big LED strips there to try and light the back part of the scene up. I've got a massive, whopping, great collapsed sun on a stand in front of me there that's blinding me. But else I've got... Oh, somebody's calling me. Somebody's calling me. Right. Oh, golly. No, this hasn't worked, has it? Hold on. Let me do something with the webcam. Mo Lester has just given me a call. Hello, Mo. I'm doing all right. I don't actually know whether you're going to be able to see me because the world is not working. Yes. But yes, sorry, this is the first person to call me. So yeah, right. Hello. Yeah. Well, are we comparing brands as a whole, or are we comparing specific models? Generally, I would put Bach above Yamaha. I don't know about Con's modern trombones because I haven't played any of them. But that being said, I don't have a huge experience with Yamaha's modern trombones either. I've only played a few Bach's modern ones. But yeah, so it's more about what works for the individual player as opposed to what brand is universally better. So it's kind of a difficult question for me to answer. Yeah. Do you have any other questions or things that I can help you with or whatever? Sorry, I'm just going to have to stop for a second. People are saying that they can't hear you, so, and of course that would be because I'm clever in all things technical. So let me just see if I can get some settings changed that will enable the sound to work. All right, are you there, Mo? Right, I think... Oh, wait, no, hold on. I need to do some more setting changes. Microphone... No, speakers. Speakers needs to get changed to that one. Right, Mo, are you there still?
Yep.
Yeah, right, okay. Hopefully now people can hear you. I'm just going to have a look at the comments and see whether there's anyone's has made a comment. So people watching and listening, now they can. Right, good. So now people can hear both of us. I'm going to assume that your name isn't actually Mo Lester and that you're just using a pseudonym so people don't come after you. Is that correct?
50-50. My actual name is Mohammed.
Right, but I'm presuming that your surname isn't Lester because that would be really, really unfair.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. So, sorry, what was your question before I just interrupted you?
Do you have any tips to improve double tonguing on trombone?
So, what's the difficulty that you're having?
Just trying to double tongue in general, you know?
All right. So, what I suggest you do to first off is I've done a video on double and triple tonguing. Have you seen that?
Yes.
Yes. So effectively, when you start double tonguing, it's a slow process. You're going to be quite bad at it. And when you say that it's something that you want to improve in general, I sort of can't give a whole complete overview as to everything that you need to do. So is there anything specific, or is it just a matter of practicing, or is there any particular difficulty that I can help with?
The matter of practicing.
The matter of practicing. Okay. So are you finding that your articulation is very sort of muddy, or are you finding you just can't double tongue as fast as you want to?
It's kind of like muddy and difficult sometimes, you know? It gets difficult when I'm trying to play fast.
Yeah. Okay, so one of the things that I see the most often with people that when they try to start double tonguing and triple tonguing is that they don't do enough practice on the k syllable. So the double tonguing works because you've got your tongue making a syllable, making an articulation, and then you've also got your throat making an articulation as well, and that's where you get the g or the k syllable from. So if you work on the g or the k syllable just by going k, just by doing that sort of study over and over and over again, then you'll find that it enables you to become a little bit faster at it. And then when you can do that sort of syllable faster, then it's going to help the rest of your double tonguing speed up as well, because the t or the d syllable is the one that we use all the time. So that one we often don't need to do too much specific work on. But we often, as players, I see people neglecting the g or the k syllable, which is the one that's made at the base of our throat. So, yeah, when you're stuck in traffic, or even when you're at lunch talking to somebody, just start going g g g g g or k k k k k k k k, and work on your speed and the clarity of the diction of that. And you'll often find that the people that you're talking to will enjoy that very much. As well as it'll definitely improve your speed. And
They won't look at me like I'm crazy.
No, absolutely not. They will know immediately that you are trying to improve your double or triple tonguing, and they'll support you, frankly. Does that help at all?
Yep. I understand much more, and I know what to improve now.
Perfect. I don't know whether is it whoever had that bet with you, whether they're going to pay you out. pay you $50 or not. But
We'll set it out tomorrow over probably rock and paper scissors. Rock
no,
paper
just
scissors.
to have a fight. Have a fight. I find all reasonable disputes are solved amicably with a big, good bare knuckle fight.
Sounds fun,
No, actually, I don't recommend that at all.
I'll use my blades. Don't worry.
You'll use your what?
My blade it's like basically a little toy that you repel off this plastic thing. It's like there's a show out of it. It's made for kids.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I may or may not have watched it with my little cousin. I was forced to. Pretty sad.
Oh, you were forced to. I'm sure.
Pretty sad.
Well, now as revenge, you can get him to help you with your double and triple tonguing. Perhaps you could have phone calls or so forth with each other where you just sort of make the k syllable to each other and just do that for hours on end. It's brilliantly fun.
I'm probably going to bother him with that.
Yeah. Oh, I recommend you do. Anyway,
fun.
Thanks very much for giving me a call. I'll see if there's anyone else that is interested to do so, because I don't know if other people can call while I'm in a call or whatever. But thank you very much.
Good night.
Good night. Right, so that's sort of an idea about how I intended this to go. I don't know if anyone else is trying to call or whatever, but a person named Joseph can play 3 instruments. Matthew Decker, how long have you played an instrument and what is your aspiration? Oh, somebody else is calling. Right, Daniel. Hi, Daniel.
Oh, hi.
Hi. Sorry. How's it going?
Good.
Good. How do I pronounce your second name?
Ruelas.
Yep, correct. Cool. Whereabouts are you calling from?
Texas.
Oh, excellent. I didn't realise that would be such a difficult question. I do apologise.
Sorry.
Cool. No, it's all good. How can I help? What would you like to talk about?
As a beginner trumpet, I find myself struggling with higher pitch notes. What can I do to improve my range?
Cool. So one of the things that I find helps a couple of the students that I've had increase their upper range is getting rid of the instrument for a moment, just getting the mouthpiece and buzzing into the mouthpiece, and then do glissandos while you're buzzing. So you start at a medium pitch and then go up and then down and then up and down. And the process of doing glissandos will help your overall range increase as well as some of your flexibility studies. So I don't know if you've also got the live stream up, but I've got a mouthpiece in my hand. And so one of the sort of things that you can do is some of those glissando studies.
Uh-huh.
So you do something like that, and over a period of time with a bit of practice, you'll find that your range increases when you actually go to put your mouthpiece back into an instrument. One of the reasons for that is that by getting rid of the instrument and just using just the mouthpiece, you'll find that it sort of gets rid of a whole lot of distractions. You're able to focus on just one job, and that is making sure that the sound is right, that the mouthpiece is positioned correctly, and that your range is being actively worked on, as opposed to being, your range being a side effect of all the other things that you might be doing when you have your trumpet actually connected. But like all things, it's not something that's going to get fixed or going to get drastically improved overnight. It's something that will take quite a bit of work and quite a bit of time. So I recommend that you give that a decent whack, and hopefully that helps.
Yeah. Thank you.
No, that's
Also,
what were you going to say?
also, I have trouble with my tonguing on longer music and stuff. I tend to slur it out more.
Yeah. So what do you sort of mean when you say you slur it? Are you finding it difficult to sort of clearly articulate? Is that what you're meaning?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's one of those that's the sort of thing that it's a little bit difficult to sort of diagnose exactly when I'm not able to actually see you and hear you play. But some general advice is to do something that I used to spend a long time doing, and that's just to stand in front of a mirror or something that's quite reflective. Just play a single note. Think about how and observe what your mouth did to produce that particular note. Listen to how it sounded. Listen to the way the note sort of began, and then do that again and just really pay close attention to what your mouth is doing and what the sound is doing, and use that, just analyze that and use that to just slowly make continual improvements to that. And by standing in front of a mirror, you'll have the advantage that it's a reflective surface, so you'll get the sound back to you pretty quickly. But it'll also enable you to observe your embouchure, make sure that that's not doing anything particularly strange. But the whole idea of doing something and focusing only on one specific area of your musicianship is a really good way to to improve in that specific area. Things like tonguing and so forth, you can do a whole lot of exercises and things like that, and there are urban studies and things that will go into tonguing ad infinitum, but to do that and to get the best advantage out of that, you need to ensure that you have the fundamentals, have the basics set right. So part of that is things like standing in front of a mirror, making sure your embouchure is correctly, and just really analysing the sound that you're producing and what movements you're going through to get to that sound. Does that sort of make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not particularly much fun, especially when you look like me. Standing in front of a mirror is a deeply unpleasant thing to do, but it's something that you might find beneficial.
Okay. Thank you.
No, that's cool. Is there anything else that I can help you with?
No, I think that's all.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for your call.
Yeah. Bye.
How would you rate the quality of this call? For 1. 5. There we go. Octo Kid. What has gotten you to where you are today? What is your life story and what... Oh, John Johnson. Hello, John. How are you?
Oh, hello.
Oh, hello.
How's it going?
Yeah, reasonably well. Reasonably well. What about yourself?
Yes, yeah. I'm doing pretty good. Happy 30th birthday, by the way.
Oh yeah, thanks for reminding me of that. I'm now very, very old. I'm probably one of the oldest people you're ever going to meet.
I beg to differ, honestly.
You haven't seen me in real life. Anyway, thank you for calling. How can I? What would you like to talk about?
I've seen trumpet players at churches, and they've been playing at these gigs, and they've been using a C trumpet, and I was wondering why. Like, why not use a B flat?
So often in orchestras and in certain other scenarios, they prefer to use a C trumpet, and there's a couple of reasons for this. The first is the fact that it's in C. So if you're playing a C trumpet, then you can play piano music or flute music or guitar music or anything like that. You can play that directly without having to transpose. So in the case of churches where you might just have a hymn book or something, you might just have a piano book, you can read that without having to work out how to transpose it into a B flat trumpet. So that's probably the most likely reason for that to happen. I know in some orchestral settings they also tend to use a C trumpet, and one of the reasons for that is that you get a slightly different quality of tone when you play in a slightly smaller instrument. A C trumpet's slightly smaller than a B flat trumpet, and that tends to give you a slightly different tone. And in certain orchestras and in certain musical styles, they prefer that sort of tone. So that's sort of like the two main reasons why people would choose to play a C trumpet.
Okay. So, what about voices? What if you're playing along voices with a B flat? Would it be preferable to use a C?
Well, if the voices are reading music, then if you were to play a C trumpet, then if you see a note on the page and the people sing that note, then the note that you play is going to be the same thing. So you've got that going for you. But if it's just people singing generally, then and you're playing a trumpet alongside that, then it's not really going to matter whether you're playing a B flat or a C trumpet as long as the pitch is correct. But if you're reading music, then having a trumpet in C is gonna mean that you can play directly with things like pianos and voices and all other instruments that are in C.
Okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
I'm glad.
Yes, thanks for answering my question.
You're most welcome. Do you have any other questions?
That's about it.
Okay, well, let me ask you a question. If you were a flavour of soup, what sort of soup would you be?
Hmm. I'd probably be chicken soup.
Why would you be a chicken soup? Is that because you've got very short arms, or?
I just like the flavor of chicken soup.
Okay, right, interesting.
Why not be something like?
I've never managed to be something I like, but never mind. Okay, well, thank you very much for your call.
All right, thank you.
Have a good
Happy birthday.
night, or have a good night, or whatever it is, and wherever you're calling from.
It's 10 p.m.
Okay, good. It's 7:30 p.m. the next day here where I am.
I see. All right.
Cool. Have a good evening.
You too. Well,
I'll
afternoon.
Try. Yeah. Right. Octo Kid. You got what? Hold on. Let me check the comment. I haven't seen comments. Adam Darby. Oh, what an amazing person you are. Thank you so much. Thomas, hello.
Hello from the other side of the world.
Yeah, you're going to have to be a little bit more specific. There are lots of places on the other side of the world, unless you, of course, believe that the world's flat, in which case you're underneath the world.
I actually believe the Earth is concave. No, I'm kidding.
Concave? Wow.
No, I'm kidding.
I actually believe that the world is a droplet of spit inside a euphonium. No, I don't. I just made that up. I just made that up. Sorry, where are you calling from?
So I'm, God help me, I'm going to music school for composition. Excellent. I was wondering because I'm looking at these old scores and there's like these things with like horns in G and trumpets in F and God would have you. And I know that has to do with crooks and all those things like that. I was actually, fun fact, I was a brass player in high school before I did percussion. Serious downgrade, if I must tell you.
Yes, yes.
But I'm too broke to afford an actual horn, so that's why I switched over to doing drums. But
poverty does drive most people to percussion. Sorry.
What easy tricks are there for transposition when you're reading stuff like horns and G and things like that, or is it just a lot of learned experience?
So when you say horns and G and stuff, I imagine you're talking about quite old music like Baroque and prior.
Yeah.
So back then they would they would say which key the horn is going to be in, because you didn't have the option of valves. You had an instrument that was in that key, and if they needed to change key, it was sort of like retuning a timpani, where they'd have to stop. They would have to, take a bit out, put a little bit in, and then that instrument would then be in the different key. And so you're limited to, whatever notes are in that harmonic series. As far as transposition is concerned, then it's going to be quite a manual process. I know some composers who particularly deal in Baroque music and some of those earlier styles, they have charts that say, an instrument is in this key, what does it transpose to, and things like that. But you'll often find that a horn in G is playing alongside, say, a string orchestra that's playing in the key of G, and so that the keys are the same thing. So you're not often going to have a horn in G playing with a string chorus that are playing in the key of B flat or something like that. You'll often find, not all the case of course, but you'll often find that the key that the horns are in matches the key that the rest of the orchestra is playing in which case it becomes a little bit easier because you can work out what the tonic is going to be and what the dominant is going to be, and then just the other elements of the harmonic series, and it's going to make sense what they're doing when you consider the context of the whole group. So it's more about logically understanding what's likely to have happened, as opposed to a big academic exercise of pluses and minuses and working out this and all the rest of it. So yeah, that's what I'd do.
Okay. The real reason I'm asking is because in one of my classes we have to they give us a melody and we have to transcribe it out, right? I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. Did this in music school, and the teacher's like, "You're too good at this. I want you to transpose into different keys." So he's like, "Write this out as if it were a clarinet in A," and I'm like, "Oh God," and I have to transpose it. So that's probably where score rating for me is probably the lowest thing, is just transposition. And it's interesting because I'll read clarinet in A and then I'll get the loop of, oh, this is obviously an A. I can just kind of follow along roughly what the line is. Yeah, and then just my head fills in all the notes.
Yeah. So when you've got something like a horn in A or a clarinet in A or whatever, the number of semitones lower than C is the same as the number of semitones that you have to write the music higher to get the pitch that you want. So for instance, A is 3 semitones lower than C, so you have to write the music as if it was an E flat to be able to get something that sounds the audible pitch in C. So that's a little wrinkle that you might want to use. Although if you don't have to do it in front of anyone, the real perfect way is to put it into Sibelius or something like that, and then transpose it, and it'll do it all for you. So that's what I would do. It's not what I'd necessarily recommend, but that might be something that you can use as purely a tool in ensuring that you're correct, much like looking at the back of the maths book to find out the answers.
Right. This is a thing. And then let's see. So when I'm writing a brass quintet right now, and I'm seriously considering making it a sextet and adding a euphonium, just to give a warmer base to the entire ensemble. Yeah. What have you seen repertoire for sextets, or is that fairly unheard of?
Oh, look, you'll find music for any group that you can think of. It's certainly not uncommon. You would probably hear quintet and whatever 7. What is septet? Is that 7?
Septet.
Is that 7?
Yeah.
Yeah, and in which case that's very common. Sorry, I thought you were talking about 6, but that's sextet. So no, I'm getting all confused. 7 is very common. If you look at, for instance, monosal brass, they're a very well-known brass septet. And that format is something that there is tons of literature written for. Nothing Baroque, of course, but because brass back then was very limited. But there's no shortage of music written for septet. It's just a matter of whether you want to pay for it or not. Free music for septet it might be a bit of a challenge, but music that you pay for a septet shouldn't be a problem.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much.
You're most welcome.
Yeah. You have a good night, all right?
All right.
And happy birthday.
Thank you. I'll try my best to have a good night, but I can't make any promises.
Yeah. I remember, what was the first video? I think it was back in 2014 with the, I think it was the trombone video you did is the first thing I saw from you.
Ah, yes.
Yeah. that led to quite a deal of fun in the band room.
Oh gosh.
And then yeah, putting oboe reeds on trumpet, and oh god, that was quite the afternoon.
It's like, how can you take a reeded instrument and make it worse? You wouldn't have thought it was possible, but no, it is.
Throw it off a building. Actually, no, throw it off a building makes it better. Never mind. All right, have a good night. All right. Good afternoon, I guess.
Yeah. Bye.
Take care.
Excellent. Right, so there's a few people that have called me. I'll have a look at some of the YouTube comments. But no, Adam Darby has a very generous donation. Thank you very much, Adam. I actually went over to Australia last year for work near the start, it might have been this time last year, and I met Adam, and he's a fantastic person. Although, Adam, I would suggest that you potentially need to save that money and put it towards a newer car. But never mind, it was great to see you. And that's a fantastic, generous donation. Thank you very much. Right. Oh gosh, there are a lot of comments that I missed. All right, Mo Lester, thanks for your help. Good. Another Joe. Josh. I'm a bass trombone player and bought myself a P trumpet for fun. How can you have fun with a P trumpet? Obviously, trumpet mouthpieces are small, and I'm having trouble playing with such a small mouthpiece. Any suggestions to help? You're a bass trombone player, and you bought yourself a P trumpet for fun. So trying to get used to smaller mouthpieces is largely just something you're going to struggle with, but then you're going to get better at it. It's something to... it's not something that's necessarily going to come naturally to you. It's something that you're going to have to take a little while over. So what I recommend you do is some buzzing on that mouthpiece. Forget the rest of the instrument for the moment, and just do some buzzing, see what happens, see what and try and, as I said to a previous person, just do some glissandos up and down, just to get some range built up. And then once you can do that reasonably well, and don't rush that step, but once you can do that reasonably well, then put the instrument on and have some fun. Right, Isaac Wolf. I play trombone. I'm trying out for All State in Minnesota. What on earth is All State? Is that some sort of band? It is some of the most difficult music I've seen, and I don't know where to start. How do you approach new music? Start at the beginning is generally where I'd start. Unfortunately, one of the very few things that I can do reasonably well is sight read. So it's not ever really been a problem for me. But don't necessarily view new music as a challenge or anything like that. All the notes on the page are notes that you've seen before. They're just in a different order. So view it as just a different order of notes that you already know. So what you can do to study it, if you've got a recording that you can listen to, get the rhythm, start with the rhythm, learn how it's supposed to sound. If you're the sort of person who likes playing along, then potentially play along. Otherwise, just try to start slow, work up the speed. I can't really give too much more advice because sight reading, unfortunately, is not really something I've ever had any issues with. But yeah, rhythm is probably the most important thing, especially if you're going to be playing in a group. The notes are less important than the rhythm. Yeah. Alexander wants to connect with me. Have you ever heard of or played in the Auckland Youth Orchestra? I've heard of them. I've never heard them play, but I've heard of them, but I've never played in them, if that makes sense. Never played in them. I'm not from Auckland. I've never really spent any time in Auckland. Yeah. Joseph asks, what should I play in Tuba Christmas, tuba or euphonium for next year? I don't know. I've sort of vaguely heard of Tuba Christmas, but I don't really know too much about what it is or what not. Yeah, so I don't really understand the context. If it's just a fun social group, play whatever you like. Yeah. I ask because I'd like to start practicing because I'm in 7th grade. I don't know what 7th grade is. I know it's something in school, but I don't know what that necessarily means. But if it's a social thing, just play whatever you want. If it's something that is taken a bit more seriously, then play whatever they want you to play. But just choose something and stick with it, I'd say. Right, so let me go back to some of the comments over here. Right, so some of the chats over here. Somebody says, Toast says, how do I donate? Also, happy birthday. You can donate doing a super chat thing in here. You can also go to the Facebook page, and I think there's a tip jar thing there. I don't actually know whether it still works or not, but there's that. Or if you want to, you can do a PayPal thing to my email address, trenthamiltonnz@gmail.com, something like that. So a few options there. What do I do for work? I recently have started a new. I've recently started a new job with another telecommunications company. So I'm still in the telecommunications sector. But I've just started with a new company. How would I go about getting information on an old trombone? I can't find the brand anywhere online. American Climax. I dare say if you Googled American Climax, you probably wouldn't get too much information about trombones. One of the websites that I look at quite frequently for music stuff is Horn Utopia. So I think that's horn-u-copia.com. And they have, or was it something else? hornutopia.net, there we go. And they have a whole lot of information about various instrument makers and whatnot. I'm just going to have a quick look to see if American Climax is on there. It is. Wow, okay. So we've got American Climax is Lion and Healy. So by the looks of it, it is there was a couple of different brands and they sold them as Climax. Oh, in retrospect, that's a weird thing. So the Lion and Healy Company in Chicago, Illinois, it says they used a bunch of trade names including American Climax, American Conservatory, American Professional, American Star, and things like that. There's also another Climax brand by J.W. Pepper in Philadelphia, PA, and whatever PA is. So there's resources online. Horn Utopia is a website that I use quite frequently for that. All state is essentially that you made it as a musician. Okay, cool. We don't have that sort of stuff here in New Zealand, so clearly I missed out. What else have we got? El Loco says, hey, I had a solo competition and I need some tips on how not to be as neo-ervious. So some tips is that just visualize what you're about to do before you do it. Okay, so you're sitting in the green room getting warmed up, or you're in a hall waiting to go on, and just think. There's going to be a stage, presumably. There's going to be an auditorium, and there's going to be people. There's going to be a lot of people, and all of them are going to be staring at you. So just sort of visualize what's happening. They're all going to be staring at you, and none of them will care. None of them will care. In fact, most of them will probably want you to do badly because they're waiting and listening to somebody else. So just sort of visualize that. Imagine lots of people and they're staring straight at you. So have that thought in your head before you go on. Then you open the door, you walk on, and all of their attention is just going to snap to you. And they're just going to stare. They're going to wait for you to do something memorable. And in the case of playing a solo, the most memorable thing is that you screw up. All right, you drop your mouthpiece, or you drop your instrument, or whatever. So just be aware of that and get your instruments. Instrumental preparation is quite important. You got your instrument, you're about to play, and you realise it's full of spit. or condensation or whatever. So empty that out and then stand in the pool of condensation and then fall over. And that's a great way. A bit of comedy like that is a great way to sort of get rid of the nerves. And then just assess your body. Are your legs numb? Are they tingling? Are they particularly sweaty if it's a hot room? And then realise how dry your mouth is. You'll notice that your tongue seems to swell up and you're not able to sort of articulate, and your tongue sort of sticks to the inside of your mouth, and then you've realised you've forgotten your music, but you're going to play anyway. And so once you've gone through all of those stages, just play and it'll be easy. You'll be fine. So hopefully that helps. Can I rate Roger Fox out of 10? Visually, probably a 6 or a 7. Not that I'm one to rate him visually. Musically, I don't know. I've never actually heard him play, knowing that it was him that was playing. So even though he's very well known in jazz circles, I've never knowingly heard him play. Although I had my best friend played. He was my groom. Groom. What do you call the opposite of a groom of honour? Instead of maid of an honour, what do you have? Oh, best man. He was my best man at my wedding. That's the word. He studied jazz performance piano and was in the Roger Fox big band for a couple of years. But I never went to, being the supportive friend, loyal rock that I am, I never went to any of the performances. So, yeah. You haven't made it as a musician unless you get a job and make decent money. Don't kid yourself. Everyone plays the saxophone. Not everyone does it for money. Well, there's some encouragement, so thank you, GG. It's great that people can look up to those sorts of encouraging words. But he's absolutely right. The most common thing that I say to people with a performance music degree is, yes, I'll have fries with that, thank you. In this world, it's all very good, well and good doing what you really enjoy, but unless you can live your life doing that, then it's often quite short-sighted to think, well, I really enjoy doing this, but I know I'm never going to have a career in it, so I'm going to spend however many years of my life doing nothing but this, to the point where it may not be enjoyable anymore, rack up heaps of debt, and then wonder what I'm going to do. You haven't made the problem any easier by studying music, knowing that it's very unlikely, or you're potentially not going to have a career in that. And that's why that I don't work as a musician. I do it as a fun hobby, and so I enjoy it immensely. But I have a career in IT or in telecommunications because that enables me to feed my family. Yeah, so it's not particularly cheerful, but it's very important to live in the real world and realise that sometimes doing what you're going to really enjoy is not necessarily going to be a thing that enables you to feed your family or whatever, whatever there. Somebody says, do I know how to play baritone? Brass baritone, yes. Baritone sax, never tried. Baritone ukulele, no. So yes and no, I guess. Somebody says, I was playing second trombone in AO and we toured Europe for 3 weeks. The conductor's name is Aton something or other, and you've met the bass trombonist David Peligora. Have I met him? I'm useless with names. I know many David. My father-in-law's David, but not Peligora. So, yeah, I'm not familiar with the conductor's name, but right. When did I start playing brass instruments? Started learning when I was 4. My granddad would teach me once a week on a cornet, a very old ratty cornet, but that's where I started to learn. Right, so there's a few things coming through on Skype, so I'll just flick over to that screen so that you can see what I'm looking at. Right, so the first one is here from Joseph Donaldson. I can't get low notes on my tuba and want to know how to hit them. Some of the advice that I gave before about the mouthpiece and buzzing, that works with your low range as well. If you can't buzz low notes, then you're going to have a real hard time trying to play low notes. You got a bit of resistance when you actually have a mouthpiece connected to your instrument, and that resistance or the back pressure with that will enable you to play lower than you can buzz. But working and doing some buzzing just with a piano or just with the mouthpiece is going to help your low range quite a lot. 7th grade is the middle of the line in the school system. So does that mean if you get better, you become 6th grade and the best of the best is 1st grade? No, I know it doesn't work like that, but yeah. Take a look at the website, listen to the recording of Appalachian Spring when you have time. Cool. George Washington wants to connect with me. Hello, George Washington. Hello, happy birthday, thank you very much. I'm a bass trombonist from Latvia. So what I wanted to ask you is what would you suggest to control intonation on loud dynamics on bass trombone? I pretty much tend to overblow, but right now it's my main issue. Right now I try to just do long notes with crescendo plus decrescendo, like pff to f to pff. Anything else you could suggest? And maybe you could comment on my playing. Had a concert last Wednesday with Symphony Orchestra, my first solo, and I'll put the recording of it in YouTube. Yes, please send me a link, maybe an email, and I'll take a look at that. With overblowing it, or sort of playing so loudly that you can't control your sound anymore, I don't really know of too many exercises that will help for it. You need to ensure that when you put lots of air through your instrument that you still maintain a decent amount of control of your embouchure. It's not just like a horse sneezing where you just go and you've got lips and flesh and spit wobbling around in the air. You still need to have control of your embouchure when you play very loudly. However, that being said, your instrument is going to have a limit to the amount of air that you can put through it and the amount of volume that you can get out of it. You as a player, are going to have a limit to the amount of volume and air that you can get out of your instrument. So it's important to know where that limit is, because when you go beyond that limit, it sounds atrocious. So you may be at a point where you can get so loud but you just can't go any more. But that's not something really that I've done any real research into, nor have I really had the conversation with people, because I've never hit a limit where I've played not loudly enough for a situation. In fact, I don't think I've ever heard of any, particularly a bass trombone player, who has reached a limit where they're not able to play loud enough. But perhaps if you were to send me a link to you playing, then I could get some more insight into exactly what you're talking about. And yeah. Currently, Jason Kim, I do apologise. Currently have a trumpet and a cornet all in B flat. Next purchase piccolo trumpet or presumably E flat cornet. Happy birthday, by the way, 30 years. Wow. Yes, I know it's very old. It's nice to know that I'm past my prime. Yeah. Purchase instruments that you have a need to use would be my first general piece of advice. If you don't need a specific instrument, or if you don't have a use for a specific instrument, then that's one thing. But if you're just buying an instrument for your own collection, then choose whatever you like. I have a lot of instruments that I can't use or need, but I buy them because I enjoy collecting them. Not that I've really bought much recently, but yeah. That's about the best advice that I've got for you, unfortunately. Joe, any idea how long the stream will be? It'll be until my buttocks get sore, and then I need to get up and stand and go somewhere else. I have a concert tomorrow where I play in the jazz band. I have an improvised solo. I have most of it down, but it is my first improv solo. Any last-minute tips? Unfortunately, jazz improv is the one thing I am absolutely useless at. Absolutely atrocious. I have no discernible talent or skill whatsoever, so I can't be of any assistance other than being a unit for your ridicule. Yeah, so not much help I can be there, sorry, Joe. Octo Kid 13. What has gotten me to where you are today? What is your life story and which brought you to how you are today? Happy birthday, Trent. Oh gosh, that's a long story, so I'm not going to answer that one just now. Why do very few rock bands, have brass instruments? I've seen bands like this, and it is amazing to have brass accompanying guitars. I don't know. It's just not a staple of that genre, and so people that want to set up, rock bands and whatnot, don't consider it a staple, and so don't look for it, and so that tendency is preserved. But yeah, I don't know. Sorry. Right, John Johnson also asks tips on jazz improvising. I've got no idea because, as I said, I'm very deficient in very many areas. One of them is jazz improv, so I can't really help you, sorry. Isaac Wolf sends me a photo. Yes, the Isis Quintet. Actually, I'm going to probably get in trouble for saying that, so that's strange. That's a strange picture. Darby wants to connect with me. G'day! Just want to say happy birthday and thank you. I found you in the first week of me picking up an instrument. Yes, I was hiding inside that instrument. I'm sort of like a genie. When you get an instrument that's sort of second-hand, been a bit dusty, you rub it in just the right way, I pop out. First video I saw was your video on the euphonium and the variations of Napoli. Oh, that's an old one. After that, I was hooked. I watched all of your videos, and the humour and fun you brought to brass inspired me to keep practicing and learning as much as I can from you and from. Well, that's fantastic. It's still weird for me to think that I'm an inspiration to people because I'm just an average person. I'm a lot of a person. I have a lot of gravity to my substance, but the fact that I can be an inspiration is still quite a foreign concept. Because of you, I've had the confidence and drive to put myself out there with my music and have had opportunities I wouldn't have dreamed possible. Wow, that's fantastic. Oh, that's brilliant. Thank you very much, Darby, for your very positive words. I most appreciate that. Where are some good places to get older/weirder instruments on the cheaper end, particularly partially regardless of quality? Also, would it be worth to trade in a tenor saxophone that needs some work done for an alto horn? eBay is where I look, and some other auction sites. I also have a few people that tend to send me links if there are anything interesting that they come across, but they're pretty much the only resources that I use. I know you can pick up some deals on some other websites like Craigslist and things like that, but I'm not familiar with them personally. James Upjohn. What's up, John? Happy birthday, Trent. I have some issues with my bass trombone range from A natural downwards, but not on tenor, only on bass. I can't properly form my notes somehow and end up playing fake notes. But it's kind of a random thing that I can't play, and 50-50 chance of hitting it. I sort of want to hear you playing and trying to do it for me to get some sort of idea, because it could be a number of things that are causing that. I can't really help too much. Sorry. Good, Martin. Yeah, that's the video. I'll have a look at that later. We need music for our next concert and would like suggestions. I live in Olathe, Kansas, USA. For music suggestions, Happy Birthday is a great piece, timeless. We wish you a Merry Christmas. I don't know, sorry. Luggage is a fantastic donator to the live stream, to the Patreon stuff. So I always get a little bit excited when I see that name. How am I doing? Sorry, I'm late to the. Yeah, you don't need to apologise for being late. How am I doing? I'm doing adequately. So I guess a little. Oh gosh, I didn't realise that the things aren't working. Okay, my chat thing has stopped working again. That's great, isn't it? I'll try and get the comments up again just while I try and mumble and answer this question. How am I doing? Well, so there's going to be... some of you will have known that I've had some back issues in the past, and I've had 4 surgeries on my back. I'm actually going to be having another one shortly, so... I need to text that. blah, blah, blah. So I had an X-ray a little while ago. I started getting into more back pain again, and I had an X-ray on my back, and they found that my last fusion hasn't really stuck. So they're going to be needing to fuse that level again, but also extend the fusion up. So instead of having just a single fusion in my back, I'm going to be having a triple fusion. So how they're going to deal with that is they're going to cut into me from the side, put some cages in, probably three different disc levels, at least two, and they're going to do that. And then they're going to flip me over like a pancake, a very round pancake, and then go in from my back and extend that single fusion up up another 2 levels. But because the first fusion didn't work or whatever, they're going to have to cut down again and sort that out, and they might have to do some other stuff. So that's about at least 8 hours of surgery and stuff that I'm going to be having at some point in the future, which is just great considering I've not long started a new job and whatnot. So that's how I'm doing in a nutshell. Some memes, I'll have a look at that. Okay, so this is Adam. And I did get a bit of, I had to write it off after I couldn't get your New Zealand germs out of it and sunk the insurance. Sorry, Adam, I didn't realise that Darby Doll was you. I thought this was just some random person that was sending me nice words. I now don't have any value in your. No, I'm just kidding. But no, I really appreciate the things that you said, and I understand my New Zealand germs in your car would have been a horrific thing for you to have to endure. The smell would have just been awful. So I do apologise for that. Topher wants to connect with you. Add me on Fortnite. I don't know what Fortnite is. Sorry. So if anyone wants to give me a call on Skype, then you're able to give me a call. The whole idea with this is that you could give me a call if you wanted to, and then we could chat in front of other people. If you wanted to do that, you don't just have to send me messages on Skype. So that's an option if you want to do that. Let me just flick to some of the YouTube comments so that I can review them. Oh my goodness, are the things broken again? Let's go back to let's just cauliflowers. Let's just have a look over here. I'm going to have to all right, let me just look on the. Oh, what am I doing with my life? Okay. Right, some comments here. It's 1 a.m. in the real world, but happy birthday. Good. Hey Trent, have you listened to Lucky Chops recently? I really want to be able to have a sound similar to their trumpet player. No, I'm not familiar with them. Yeah, sorry. For some really solid rock featuring horns, listen to the band Chicago. First 5 albums are gold, so there's a recommendation there. Happy birthday. Lol, he does not know about Fortnite. Just saw the stream. Happy birthday, man. Okay, cool. Right, Sergio says, Trent, first happy birthday. This isn't my first happy birthday, it's my 30th happy birthday. With my kids, we follow your videos and really enjoy them. You have to walk very fast to follow my videos. And no, it's a stupid joke. My boys, they play trombone. The kid is 6 and he is good, and the older one crazy about the flugel. I need a word of advice. I play the E flat and got myself a Danube from Wessex, but I kind of want a travel tuba. Any suggestions? I think Wessex sell a small travel tuba. I'm not hugely familiar with Wessex tuba models because they have so many of them, but I don't know if the Danube is a smaller tuba or not. But I think Wessex sell a small travel tuba, or is it just in B flat? I'm not too sure. But otherwise, I don't have any suggestions really. I think Schiller also sell one. I mean, they're all Chinese made, but generally travel sized instruments aren't, commercially concert instruments. But yeah, if Wessex don't sell one, then you could have a look at Schiller or some of the other Chinese manufacturers. I don't have any recommendations for you. Just some the places that I'd go to look if I was in that position. How to pronounce Olaf? I'll have a look at that. Happy last birthday. Oh, I'm going to lock my doors tonight. That's a scary thought. Are you going to do more streams like this in the future? I'm asking because I have to leave soon, and this is the best stream of what. If this is a format that people are interested in, then sure. It sort of backfired on me a little bit because having people writing comments in YouTube and then having people writing comments in Skype really wasn't what I was intending, because it sort of makes it a bit difficult for me. So I was just sort of meaning the Skypers, and call me on Skype and we'll have a chat. But if you wanted to write comments, then put comments on YouTube and I'll look at them there. But so I might have to refine this somewhat. But if this is something that people are interested in, then sure, we can do it again. Luggage, if you want to give me a call, yeah, absolutely. I've be interesting to hear the person behind the name. That's a scary photo. Perhaps maybe not. So I was going to flick it back to the just the YouTube thing so I can see the comments from that, but it looks like the window has conked out. So I might just actually hide that. Bring this window over here, make my face bigger, even though that's a scary thought. Here we go, and now this is too small. I need to make that bigger. I can't really read that. Right, this man is so funny, OMG. Sometimes I can't differentiate when he's joking versus him talking. It sounds so serious, but it makes the things he says. I'm always serious. I don't think I've ever said anything that wasn't intended as serious, reliable advice. It's just, gosh. That's not working. Right. Am I going to do a sousaphone with a wood mouthpiece? No, because I don't actually own a sousaphone anymore of any description. Okay, so maybe maybe I'll do this sort of thing again, but I'll use a different program. Instead of using Skype, I might use something like Discord, or there are some other apps you can get on your phone that enable people to make free calls and things like that. I just need to do a bit of research into the various options that are out there. So look, I've been going for an hour and a quarter now, so I might just sort of wrap this up. So thank you very much, everyone, for tuning in. It hasn't been a huge number of viewers, but I'm not particularly surprised given the time of day this is. But it was a good opportunity to test out a new sort of way of doing the videos here. So thank you very much for joining me. Thank you very much for the birthday wishes and things. I've really appreciated it. So subscribe if you haven't done so already. If you're interested in supporting my channel, then Patreon is a fantastic way of doing that. Thank you very much to Adam, who has made a very generous donation throughout this video. I'd give you a cuddle if I was immunised against Australians. I'd give you a cuddle. So thanks everyone. Oh, hold on. Somebody's given me a call. Oh, hold on. Hello, Trevor. Oh, hello? Okay. No, maybe that's not working. There is a poor network connection. Alright. Sorry, Trevor, that didn't really work. Alright, well, leaving that as it is then, thank you, everyone, and I'll end the stream here once I figure out how to.